Do you know who is this woman without panties? Of course you do. It's a genius of thought, mother of punk, and a person who is close to the Queen. It's a British fashion designer, Vivien Westwood. This picture was taken in front of the main entrance to the Buckingham Palace. Vivien Westwood was invited there for rewarding for outstanding services in 1992. Against public expectations, she came to the presentation in time and followed the official dress code. But coming out of palace, she managed to shock the public. She raised the skirt and paparazzi caught her without underwear. It was very typical of her. The history about her creative life is one of the most unusual. We all can just admire her independent character and desperate courage. Vivien Westwood was brought up in a small town in England in a not-too-wealthy large family. She wore poor clothes and she always was an outcast, but she decided to turn her drawback into the virtue.
I always liked clothes as a child and even would sort of imagine a beautiful dress, which somehow I never had. And yes, because there was a big thing that irritated me, that somehow it was only little girls with curls that were somehow seemed to be pretty. And I very often got more plain dresses that probably suited me really well, but I really liked the idea of very, very frilly things. That's what I wanted.
She was always going away from the mainstream. Her hairstyle was always weird. Her own style contradicted the fashion of the time, and she even came to her own prom in dress made of fresh flowers because lack of money.
As a teenager, my mother and father never gave me much spending money at all, and so the way I budgeted is I made all my clothes, and I spent my money on shoes. Every now and again I bought shoes, but that's it, and I bought fabric. And I used to be able to make a dress out of a yard of fabric, which is 36 inches, and just by putting it round and making a tiny seam and then putting darts, I could just about get a dress out of a metre of fabric, those little dresses. But I made tailored suits and whatever, yeah.
Vivien became a common country teacher. She married the owner of dance school, Derek Westwood, who gave her a sound band and a resonant shoe name. Soon the family broke up and Vivien, a woman of 30, had to move to London to her brother. She made a decision to enter the history department in a school of art, and this key step changed everything in her life. In the school of art she met Malcolm McLaren, who in the short run became her best friend, lover, father of her second son and business partner, and all this in one person. In 1971, McLaren and Westwood opened a shop that offered S&M accessories, sex toys, pornographic literature and recordings that were forbidden on the radio. It was attended by people of all kinds, both prostitutes and musicians, common and famous people. They all went there. Later, the shop became the center of punks' hangout in London.
I expect the main heading you could really give them now is distinct from the sex thing. I think you'd have to call them urban guerrilla. I think that's the main kind of theme that would make people understand them. They've got touches of primitive things. People who come in my shop, I notice Jordan wear sort of rather tribal makeup. Sometimes things like this are reminiscent of Greek peasant costumes, this little kilt.
The most scandalous PR move of McLaren and Westwood was when they made a parody of Anthem and created a t-shirt with an image of Queen pierced by a pin on it. Since then, the title of punk fashion Queen stuck to Vivien.
I've always been interested in the idea of the Queen. It's part of my little history as well, because I was involved with the Sex Pistols and the Queen with the safety pin through her lip, and the idea of the Queen's Jubilee and God Save the Queen, which is very anti-monarchy song. And to me, the Queen is not important anymore. I don't have this problem about the Queen. She's there. And to my way of thinking, I think the Queen seems to be the most intelligent of the royal family.
Well, we have D-Ski and the British crew. We have Daphne from Manhattan, Shabar. He's checking out the world. No, Daphne wants to stay too.
Come on, all you gotta do is stop.
By the end of 17th, McLaren and Westwood had grown rich and gained their fashion authority. Vivion's own style suddenly became the mainstream. Then Vivien decided to win the Highline way, and she changed the root and branch of the words. Punk and porno chic styles created by them became universally recognized. In 1981, Westwood showed her first seminal collection in London, entitled Pirate. In 1990, Westwood launched a menswear collection in Florence. She was named British Designer of the Year that year, as well in the 1991. Vivien is not only a designer, she is also a decorator. She created a series of accessories for a house. Westwood's son by McLaren, George Corr, is a founder of Agent Provocateur, while her other son, Ben, is an erotic photographer. Despite Vivien's rebellious character, she lives in very modest conditions: one bed, one table, 2 chairs and a fridge. She doesn't watch TV, she doesn't read magazines, she moves by bicycle. And at the age of 60 she was photographed naked for the Men's magazine.